On June 9th, near the town of Roslowek, just outside a major Polish city, a German patrol car rolls up to a quiet bus stop. 6 people step out. The police do not wait. They turn around and leave. 5 of them are from Eritrea, 1 is from Ethiopia. None of them chose to be here, and the Polish authorities were never even told they were coming. This was not a one-time mistake. Locals say it is becoming a pattern. The same scene over and over at different stops along the western border. And the country doing this is the same country that spent years lecturing Poland about solidarity. The same country that accused Poland of not taking its share. Now it is quietly pushing people back the other way. Here is the question that stings. Poland built a wall on its eastern border to stop illegal crossings. So why is the back door swinging wide open from the west? What German officers are doing here has a name. It is called a pushback, and under both international and European Union law, it is illegal. A pushback means sending migrants across a border with no asylum procedure, no interview, no court decision, caught and turned around. That's simple, and that against the rules. The Roslowek case shows it perfectly. A German patrol car pulls up. 6 people get out. The officers do not process anyone, they just drive off. And then comes what locals actually see. Media from the region report migrants walking through neighborhoods, appearing near playgrounds, and asking people for money at cash machines. German services defend themselves with paperwork. They talk about so-called border detentions and point to European Union regulations. But here is the problem. Many of those rules do not meet the standards of the Geneva Convention or the agreements on returns. In plain words, they are illegal. So why do it anyway? Some German states are under heavy public pressure. With elections coming up, the easiest move is to make the problem disappear. And the fastest way to make undocumented migrants disappear is to hand them to the neighbors. In this case, that means Poland. But here is where it gets stranger. Germany's own administrative court in Frankfurt on the Oder already ruled on this. The court stated clearly that returning 3 Somali men to Poland with no procedure was against the law. But a ruling is one thing, practice is another, because the truth underneath is uncomfortable. Germany no longer wants undocumented migrants, and it does not want to admit that it has run out of ideas about what to do with them. So the pressure lands on Poland, and for a while the official Polish line was simple: stay calm, nothing to see here. On Monday, the Prime Minister assured everyone that everything was following procedure, that there was no reason to worry. One day later, the story changed. Suddenly there was talk of border controls being planned. Even the top of the government had to admit that something was going on. Then came the announcement. Poland is bringing back temporary controls on its border with Germany and on its border with Lithuania. But is this a real attempt to fix the problem, or just a classic smokescreen for the cameras and the public? That is the question nobody can quite answer yet. One thing is certain, the reaction came late, and the fear is simple. Will the country feel the consequences down the road? Meanwhile, the Polish Interior Ministry pushed a different message. Everything is by the book. Germany has the right to send people back, and Poland has a duty to take them. But the people living on that border are not buying it anymore. A border is not just a line on a map, it is the daily life of thousands of people. And when they feel the state is not acting, they start acting themselves. Locals began documenting the drop-offs, filming them, and organizing citizen patrols. Now here is the human side. A man described how an elderly woman walked up to him outside a shop, frightened, and asked him to walk her to the cash machine. She said men were sitting on the wall and on the shop windowsill. As they approached the machine, the men stood up and started asking for money. He said they moved closer until he showed that he was carrying pepper spray. Only then did they sit back down. Real or exaggerated fear, this is what changes how a town feels. The Polish leadership tells a different story. They say Poland is not being flooded by illegal migrants from the West, and that claim is simply false. They argue the goal is real border safety, not giving in to radical groups organizing their own patrols. The state is responsible for the border, they insist, not private groups. And Donald Tusk has met with German leaders many times. Talk of cooperation, of trust, of shared values, but on the concrete details, as usual, silence. He recently reassured everyone that the government is watching this situation closely, but watching in a moment like this can look a lot like reacting too late. So let us look at the actual law, because this is where it gets clear. The European Union has rules, and they were written to prevent exactly this. One core rule says the country where a migrant first filed for asylum is responsible for handling that case. You cannot just pass the person along. The Geneva Convention goes further. It bans collective expulsions, it guarantees the right to apply for asylum, and it forbids sending people back blindly. And all of this cuts against European Union law that Germany itself helped to write, which makes the behavior at the border even harder to explain. So ask the real question, why does Germany do this? It has the procedures, it has the services, it has the money, yet it drives people to the Polish border instead of solving it at home. In the background sits a bigger fight, the European Union Migration Pact. Relocations, mandatory quotas, and fines for the countries that dare to say no. But maybe it is something even larger, a new model of managing migration where the West imports labor and the East becomes a buffer zone, a sorting station for people. Because think about the migrants at that bus stop. They had already been in Germany. They did not want Poland. They wanted Berlin, Munich, the West. And here is the brutal logic. If Germany sees these people as a burden rather than a benefit, why would anyone expect them to suddenly be a benefit for Poland? To understand how it got this bad, you have to rewind, because Germany did not stumble into this crisis. In many ways, it built it. It started in the 1960s when West Germany needed workers. It brought in so-called guest workers from Turkey and the Balkans. They were meant to work a while and go home. They stayed. Later came arrivals from Afghanistan, from Iraq, and finally from Syria, each wave larger, each harder to manage than the last. The turning point was 2015. Angela Merkel spoke her famous words, "We can do this," and she opened the borders to more than 1 million refugees. But here is the part that gets buried. It did not go as promised. Instead of integration, there was improvisation. Instead of a plan, there was chaos. Germany became the main destination for migration from outside Europe. In Berlin and other cities, parallel districts formed, where local law started to lose its grip. Crime statistics rose, knife attacks made headlines, and German society itself began to split over what to do. By 2023, a major survey found that 64% of Germans believed the country no longer had control over the migration situation, almost 2 out of 3. And that is exactly why today you see Ethiopian and Eritrean migrants sitting at a bus stop on the Polish side, because Berlin cannot admit the mistake. Which brings the sharpest question of all. If Germany, a rich country with a powerful welfare system, no longer sees the point in keeping these people, then why should Poland? Even the ones who invited them do not want them anymore. That fact alone should make everyone stop and think. And Germany is not alone. France made similar choices, and today it lives with enormous consequences of its own. The same warning, a different country. So here is the choice Poland now faces. Keep quietly absorbing the people the West does not want, or finally say enough of being Europe's buffer zone. In Western countries it started slowly too, quietly, almost innocently. And we all see how that ended. The only question left is whether anyone is willing to learn from it in time.